Sheffield. Gabriel. Jorginho. They are working their way through rather easily, and Odegaard tucks it away. Flying start. Saka eases past his man once more, and it's an own goal. Martinelli gets it back. Arsenal score again. Again, that must be a booking referee playing advantage, and it's to Arsenal's advantage. Havertz, quite the finish. Saka to pull it back, and Rice to make it 5 in the first half. And the layoff to White, and the finish. Benjamin White. What a goal. And it is 6-0 to Arsenal.
Hello and welcome to Whatever the Weather, another Arsenal podcast. Listener, you join us after Arsenal's ruthless 6-0 demolition of Sheffield United at Bramell Lame. I'm your producer, Graham, and I'm joined by our most excellent co-hosts, James and Dan. How are you guys doing?
Boring Arsenal. Boring Arsenal.
I know.
I'm a bit fed up of watching Arsenal, to be honest. It's a bit too predictable now, isn't it?
I know.
Well, what can I say? What can I say to that? What an intro. What an intro. Boring Arsenal. Yes, it's these are heady days. Heady days.
Heady days.
45 goals scored, which is or 45 goal difference, sorry, I should say. 45
goal difference.
Which is, I'm led to believe, already better than the 97-98 double winning season.
Do you want to know something else that's really
We've still got games to go?
Do you want to know something that's really funny? Is that our goal difference is more than the number of points that Man United have.
It's a low bar, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's a low bar.
Let's not compare ourselves to mid-table dross.
Oh,
can you ever remember a run like this, though? In all seriousness, like we're on a pretty hot streak at the moment, right? Like we are scoring for fun and demolishing teams. Stadiums are getting empty everywhere we go. As we said in the last pod, we're finishing teams off with an hour in, so no one's getting really value for their ticket.
yeah.
I believe there's already the talks about doing refunds and all this sort of shit. It's insane. I can remember us going on long winning runs. The 2002 season where we ended up winning the double, we went on a long run then, and as I said in mentioning the 98 season, we went on a long run to overhaul Man United to win the league. But I can't remember us going on a run of scoring so many goals and winning in such emphatic style before.
It's never been done. We're history breakers. In the history of English football, no team has won 3 consecutive away games by 5 goals or more. In the history of English football, that's from the 1800s when
it's a long time.
Teams were getting slapped up 14-0 and stuff like that.
Hang on. Hold up. Are you telling me that football didn't begin in 1992?
Apparently, I've heard that there was football before 1992, and we weren't bad then either. So this is what I'm told anyway. But but yeah, this run we've been saying for weeks that there's no margin for error. We need to keep on winning, keep one game at a time, and that's exactly what we've been doing. There has been 0 errors. There has been only magnificent performances, and we just need to keep on going. Will the Sheffield United win be the be or end of the season? No, there are obviously bigger games to come, but we've put ourselves in a great position to be there or thereabouts by the end of the season, and so pleased, really am.
Yeah, I think you're right. This run has been absolutely amazing. I don't think I've felt this positive about this team in a long time. And there's something that happens around just kind of locally with friends. Like when we go and watch the games, there's no kind of it's like we don't feel afraid of them anymore. It's like we go into games and we're like, there's positivity, and I feel like we're going to win this.
Well, me and Dan kind of make up for that because we've spoken a lot about, and Dan actually, one of his buzzwords is Arsenal PTSD that he talks about. And certainly I know there's a few people that before the Sheffield United game,
Mm.
people will look to it and they'll think back to previous visits to Bramell Lane and where we've not played so well or not got a result, and they'll think that, well, could Arsenal it up, so to speak. They're trying to use that Arsenal it up in reference to another club from North London.
I do think there was a fair amount of feeling about that before the game, because it seems like,
Really?
nah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly didn't feel that way because, as you know, I'm the eternal optimist about Arsenal. As far as I'm concerned, we're winning the league until it's mathematically impossible for us not to. But yeah, you do hear some sort of voices of people saying, well, we've been on this amazing run. We've scored lots of goals in games, leaving the Porto game aside. But yeah, and you sort of see, I think there's a certain group of people a certain group of Arsenal fans who would say like, oh, well, we've been on this amazing run, but we're obviously going to lose to the team that are, smack bang at the bottom of the league. And, that's, as I say, I'm very optimistic with Arsenal. I sort of before this game, I was like, if it's less than a 4-0 win, it might as well be a draw. I don't mean that literally. But based on the run that we've been on,
It'd be disappointing.
it would have been just, what's the point?
Yeah.
So, and yeah. Well, we came away with a 6-0 win. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, look, we obviously haven't got into the specifics of the game, and obviously we were, I think in the first 30 seconds we'd hit the crossbar. After a minute and 20, we'd had a really good chance flashed across the goal, and then obviously we scored, and then the floodgates opened, and obviously being 5-0 up at halftime in a Premier League game is not a normal thing, although it feels like a normal thing with this Arsenal team. I kind of think we did what we were expected to do. To be honest with you, Sheffield United are absolute crap, and anyone that I think thought that we were going to potentially lose to this team, there's always that it's a football game. There's always the chance that you could,
rather than like,
yeah. There's always a chance that you could, that circumstances could go against you. There could be a dodgy red card, and it could be like the Newcastle game where you end up losing 1-0 to a bit of a fluky, scrappy old goal that should never have stood and all that kind of stuff. But this Sheffield United team are utter shit, aren't they?
They are, yeah. There's no doubt about it. There's no beating around the bush. They're shit. But as you say, we're doing what we are meant to be doing. For the Sheffield United game, yes, but West Ham 6-0, Burnley 5-0. These are all games that, yes, we should be winning, but it's not the fact that we're winning, it's the way we're doing it. And, you look at teams that have gone to West Ham away, they're not coming away with 6-0 wins. It's very rare that happens. City aren't doing that. City aren't beating teams, 5 or 6, at all times. They're scraping 1-0s here and there. That, it's not just the teams that we're beating, because, yeah, we're at a level now where we should be going there and winning and feeling confident in winning. And I think we were all confident without being too disrespectful to the opposition, but they're shit. We're way better. We should win that game, and we did. But what's impressive is how clinical we are, how ruthless we've been. And as I said, no pun intended, but putting them to the sword, especially, and it's great to see. I mean, as I said, it's just such a difference from, before January when, we need a clinical striker. Oh, when, we need this, we need that, right? You can't, people still can't say, we're not clinical or anything like that. I think we had 10 shots on target against Sheffield United and scored 6 of them. That's pretty fucking clinical. Now, yes, we still need, I think we're going to go big for a striker in the summer, and I think that's needed, especially for the squad. But what was it, 31 goals? In the past, 7 games, something like that. That's insane. People, I don't want to say like, oh, I told you so or anything like that, but I did say that it wasn't, apart from the Fulham game, we were still putting in performances and making chances. We just weren't taking them. And I put that down to a loss of form, not due to a lack of tactical nous from Mikel or, the players aren't good enough or anything like that. It was just simply a lack of form. And we've come back from Dubai and things are clicking and players are starting to hit form. Odegaard is looking, when I say world-class midfielder in Martin Odegaard, he's fantastic. Jorginho's turning up. I think we're all a bit surprised at how well he's doing. I think he's, changed opinions about what we think of him, but I don't think anyone expected him to reach the levels he's reaching. Saka's now, even though he's still getting numbers, doing great. Martinelli's starting to pop up again. And Kai Havertz. I mean, honestly, though, these past few games, he's really turned up. And yes, I know it's only Burnley, it's only Sheffield United, but he's also played well in some of the big games as well. Against Liverpool in the league, he played really well. He's played Man City twice in the Community Shield, and when he came on in the Premier League, and he made an impact in both of those games. I think we really need to start looking at Kai as a really good squad option, and just he's a good player, and I think Mikel is starting to get that out of him now, which is testament to Mikel, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be clear. I think the way the team's performing at the moment is really, really positive. There's ways of winning. The first and foremost, these are all games that were very winnable. We all looked at that. We've spoken about that on previous pods. We identified the Man City game on the horizon. We spoke about obviously we've got Brentford next, and then it would have been Chelsea. Chelsea's been postponed because their progression in the cup, and then they've got a big break towards played Man City. And we felt like from the Liverpool game, it was all about positioning ourselves that going into that Man City game within touching distance of the top, and it looks like that's what we're well on course to do. But you're absolutely right, Dan. There's winning games and there's winning games, and at the moment we are winning games. We are really, really winning games. And doing it with ease. We spoke before about, jokingly, I said about taking players off after 60 minutes and getting resting and stuff like that. But we're using the squad to its fullest at the moment. You couldn't ask for more in terms of players coming back to form. You mentioned Martin Odegaard there. I think he's really kind of hit form at the moment. We spoke previously about finding our balance with Kiwior coming into the team and Jorginho. And I think it's just sort of carried on. It's sort of snowballed from Burnley, which is really, really positive to see. And hopefully that carries through to Brentford. We also got the return of Thomas Partey and Gabriel Jesus, which was great to see. Although I think Thomas Partey, you could tell, hadn't played football in about 7 months. That was as rusty a performance as he could possibly give. But look, just to have them being able to compete and get on the field is great in itself. And hopefully, I'm sure if we do anything in the league and Champions League, certainly Thomas Partey will have to play a part. Gabriel Jesus, we all know what he can do, and I don't think we need to kind of dwell on that. But it's great to have him back, particularly I think for me, in my personal opinion, it's great to have him back as an option before that Porto game.
Yeah, mentioning Partey, it was great to see him come back. We've talked previously on this pod about that ultimate Arsenal midfield that we want to see. I think it's going to take him a few games to get back into things. Well,
you say that. Sorry to come across you, but you say that about the midfield you want to see. I think they spoke about that on commentary, and Alan Smith kind of said, "Well, is it?" And I'm not so sure. I think it. Yeah, I think the balance is really, really right there with Rice, Jorginho, and Odegaard. I'm not sure. Look, Partey's a brilliant player, and he's a.
Are you saying Partey is?
Well, he's a fantastic option to have in the squad, and obviously that you're rotating back in. Jorginho can't play 3 games a week. We know that. It was just a point that was obviously on the commentary. They sort of, the commentator said, Arsenal have now got their first choice midfield back. And Alan Smith kind of checked the commentator and was like, well, not so sure about that. And I think he's absolutely right. I don't think it is guaranteed that Thomas Partey walks back in. Is a fantastic option to have, of course. And it gives us depth that we're going to need. And those extra legs, and I think it's just a brilliant position to be in. One I never thought we would be in with Thomas Partey, to be honest. And I'm still, until I see him taking the pitch for meaningful minutes, I'm I'm always going to have that kind of worry in my mind. We spoke about PTSD, and that right there is it. But no, it bodes
Yeah.
really, really well to have
Yeah.
those guys back. As I said, Gabriel Jesus, we know all about him, what he can do, and how important he'll be, particularly in the game against Porto on Tuesday night. So yeah, it bodes well.
I was going to say about that actually. So we're playing Porto on Tuesday, which is almost a year after we played Sporting
Mm.
at the Emirates, and obviously had that awful night. That's not going to happen this time, guys, because I'm not going to be there. So Jonah is not going to be at the game, so it's all fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, in terms of the injuries you're talking about as well, compared to last season, it almost seems
Yeah,
inverse
we're in a position now
of
where
this
rather than
season.
players dropping off, we've got players coming back.
Last season we had lots of players dropping off. This time we have players coming back. I mean, hopefully we don't, hopefully there aren't any injuries in the meantime. But it does seem better. I mean, Tommy Yasu's coming back, Zinnia's coming back. We mentioned Partey and Jesus already. So I don't know. It does seem like we are in a better place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we are. I think
Going
was this Mikel's master plan to kind of have us on a slow boil and then us really heat up towards the back end of the season? I'd like to think it was. As I said on the podcast, me and Dan recorded the other day, me being a glass half empty merchant, I'm worrying, have we peaked too damn soon? We've got an 18-day gap now after playing Porto until we play Man City, which is that a good thing or not? I mean, I would love to play Man City this weekend, to be honest. I think we are banging form, and now's the time you want to play them.
James, you can't wait for us to play Man City. You wish it was like now.
I'll take it on. If
tomorrow.
we were playing them on Saturday rather than Brentford, I'd be happy with that. Unfortunately, how it is that we play Brentford with an opportunity to go top of the league because Man City play Liverpool on Sunday, which is going to be quite fascinating.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to what you said about Mikel and slow burn and stuff like, I think even in the performances in individual games, I'd love to see the stats of when we scored our goals in the first half of the season, because I just remember quite vividly us not going early and, getting early goals. It kind of took us a while to kind of break the team down, and it tended to be a second half, where we started scoring our goals. And I think that reflects not just on each game, but the season itself. As you say, like Mikel is very detail orientated. I think he would have learned from last season, where we started like a steam train and just run out of steam essentially. And I think he maybe has held something back to make sure we can get to a certain point in the season and then take the handbrake off, which I think it's fair to say we have, considering all the goals we're scoring. So it's really great. But in terms of the defense, as you mentioned, we have the best. We scored the most goals in the league. We also have conceded the less goals. We have the best defense in the league, and it's unbelievable, that Bermuda Triangle of Rice, Saliba, and Gabriel is just it's just top notch. And as you said, we're not even letting goals. David Raya's got 9 clean sheets this season. He's winning the he's winning the Golden Gloves, and I'd love to tell you that because Raya's making all these amazing saves, but he hasn't had to do much. Like in terms of
he won't be able to play on the weekend though. He's gonna have a sore ass the weekend.
No,
and so our fan favorite Aaron Ramsdale comes back into the team for his.
I really hope at this point that he doesn't boot the ball into his own goal to test how much we love him.
But I mean, this could possibly or probably be his last performance in an Arsenal shirt, unless anything happened to David Raya. But
yeah,
this could be his last ever game as an Arsenal player, which is quite sad in itself. But
if everything goes well, that will be if everything goes well, that will be his last game. And yeah, that is quite I hadn't thought of it like that before. But look, we've come to terms with it. We've dealt with it. You move on. Football moves on. It always does.
It does indeed.
Yeah. So How are you guys feeling about the Brentford game? Because I'm, mindful we were talking about the number of goals we scored in previous games against opposition. Do you guys feel like this game is going to be a bit tougher? I mean, undoubtedly, it's going to be tougher than playing Sheffield United at Bramell. But
If we don't
yeah,
score at least 12, then might as well just be a draw, essentially.
yeah,
No, like
yeah.
this should be a harder game. I think Brentford do have quite a few defensive injuries, which means they have been conceding quite a few goals recently. We've been scoring quite a few goals recently. So I'm thinking it should be a comfortable day for us. I can't see it being a 5 or 6. I would say 3, possibly 4. But the fact I can speak with that much confidence is just a testament to what
I know. I was about to
try
say.
and pull back sometimes and go, oh, maybe it's going to be a tight game and maybe it might be 2-1 or anything. But
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
scratch out a 1-0, 1-0
but
win,
all form, all things, looking at everything, it's not outlandish for me to say, yeah, do you know what? I reckon we can score 4 against Brentford. And say it with confidence. And again, that's just a testament to where we are as a team right now. So I'm looking forward to it. I think, as I said, it will pose a different challenge, but the way we're playing, I can't see Brentford stopping us. I think the real test will be on Tuesday. I think talk to me about that, and you'll get me a bit more apprehensive.
Yeah.
Well, let me come in
game...
on the Brentford bit before you kind of write us off against Porto.
Yeah.
Brentford poses a different challenge. Obviously, first and foremost, David Raya's not going to be between the sticks, and Aaron Ramsdale. I'm not going to say that I'm nervous about him playing because I'm not. But this is a guy. This is a guy that has come out before. But this is a guy
you
that
wouldn't
has
have
come
said
out
that
before and
otherwise,
has
right?
said that he knows what he's got to do to make an impression. He knows what he's got to do to kind of earn his place back. Is he going to be trying too hard? I can't, he's just got to come in, play a very simple game, be professional, do his job, and do it well, and we'll be fine. Even Tony obviously is going to be out to kind of make a bit more of a name for himself, and kind of we've obviously been often linked as potential buyers of him, and I'm sure that's not lost on him, and he'll be doing as much as he can to put himself in the shop window. Brentford are a really good, well coached team. They haven't had the season this season they had last season. They have got a few dodgy results in them. We should be beating them if we want to win this league or challenge for winning this league. We have to be beating Brentford at home. No excuses for me whatsoever. I think we will win. We may have to be a lot more patient than we have been in previous games. Brentford are really good at set pieces. They're probably the second best. I mean, I don't have the stats to back this up, but I know that last season they were statistically really, really good at set pieces. And I'd say probably they are, I would imagine they're quite close to where we are. We're obviously the leaders of set pieces this season in the Premier League. I'd be surprised if they're not there or thereabouts to us with that. Yeah, they're going to be harder to break down for sure than anything we've played in the last 4 to 6 weeks, probably barring Liverpool. But that's the challenge. That's the challenge. If you want to win the league, you've got to kind of do it over 38 games and bring your A game. That's the challenge, and that's what we've got to do. And it's there for the team, isn't it? We've got that carrot that we can go top of the league because City and Liverpool are playing each other on Sunday. And we've got to take that opportunity with both hands and show what we're made of. This team, last year we were the youngest team in the league. We're still a young team, but it's now's the time to kind of like, it's there. Go and grab it. Now's the time to go and grab it.
Thanks for listening to Whatever the Weather, another Arsenal podcast. If you didn't think we were talking absolute nonsense and want to hear more from us, you can follow us on social media at Twitter and Instagram at WTW1985, or simply search Whatever the Weather.